Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Echo and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Echo and Sidetrack. Jeff, have you got any irrational fears?
Oh, yeah. There's something that's I've been thinking about a fair bit lately, and it's so weird. And let me just say that we've never had this conversation. You said just before we started recording the podcast, you were like, Jeff, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got an irrational fear I've been thinking about a little bit recently. I remember when I was a kid, when the garage door would be halfway up or down, depending how you're looking at it. I didn't like walking close to it because I thought when I opened it, someone would hit me in the nuts.
Yeah.
Even though no one was there. But yeah, okay, so an irrational fear. Lately, at my partner's place, there's been some... What?
Sorry, no, just keep going. I'm just giggling in anticipation.
Yeah, at my partner's place, there's been some works on the building going on. And it's pretty loud, so it's pretty early. There's a lot of grinding, jackhammering and stuff. Shout out to Holly. She's tolerating it a fair bit, as well as me being there. I've seen a few little cracks forming.
In the foundation of the fucking building?
in the walls, and it's just from banging and stuff. It's probably just cracks in the paint. But for the last 3 or 4 nights, and a few nights at some other points before that, I've just thought how fucked it would be if the building just fell on us. I'm laying there being and you kind of just you roll over and you're you know how irrational it is, but you kind of just brace a little bit more
Your back will protect you.
I don't know. It's a weird feeling, and it's strange that you even asked me. But yeah, I have thought of that, and I'm maybe the work they're doing is weakening the brickwork, and it's just gonna fucking concertina down upon us.
It's so crazy. It's insane that's an actual thought, even though you have no knowledge of engineering and structural mechanics at all, and they make buildings to be fed strong. That will definitely not happen, but I completely understand that fear.
I've thought about it as well. It's the most safe to be on the bottom. It's very solid, and I'm there's staircases in other parts of the building that would be structurally sound, that the building wouldn't just Tower 7 on itself.
Yeah. How many stories is it?
400. No, it's 3.
Yeah, if it's a 3-story, there's not much weight. See, if you were having this discussion and it was a skyscraper situation, I would feel more uncomfortable. If there's a lot of weight on top.
Absolutely. It's irrational. It's strange. And I'm not sure if it's I don't know what it is. She has a lovely home. It's such a happy place. I don't know. I just don't know what this feeling is ooh, I'm gonna get crushed.
I've definitely felt that before in houses.
Or when you're under a big building, you walk into a big skyscraper and you're ooh, if it just tipped, maybe I could run.
I always think about which direction I'd run in, and would I run away?
I've got an exit strategy.
Always have an exit strategy. Always. It's funny you mentioned you were afraid of lifting the garage door, the rolling door up, and being hit in the testicles. Because I think most men have this fear of being hit or sack tapped from high school, when it would happen quite a bit. In primary school and high school, it would be a joke for guys to kind of hit each other in the nuts. And I think that's kind of imprinted itself definitely in my head, because I have flinched as early as a week ago when someone just moved their hand near me, I've like instinctually held near my nuts and been like, ooh.
A classic for that is sitting next to someone at the movies and they go reach for the popcorn and you just jack away, like, because it's like into that zone. You're like, he's going to crush my nuts.
I remember as a kid in swimming pools, specifically the Browns swimming pool. The Browns are a family friend and part of our family as well, because our older brother is married to one of them. But they had this long swimming pool that we used to swim in. An amazing
swimming pool.
Hang out in all the time. And I remember James would tell me that there's like a shark living in it and it comes out at night. Now, that idea is preposterous. It's ridiculous, right? That's no one has a shark in their swimming pool. Obviously, they didn't have a shark in their swimming pool, but as a kid, they'd get out of the pool before me and they'd be like, oh, get out quick because we're going to let the shark out. And I would be so scared and be like, oh, no. And like get out. I would feel the fear.
Man, that kid fear that you have, like, it's like you can recreate it with like just a simple game of chasey.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be it. And the person gets real close to you and you're like, yeah, fucking. And you're just like, you're running harder than you ever have in your whole life because you don't want to be tagged and have to, get other people. It's crazy. It's like, to feel that as an adult is, it's like an adrenaline rush. As a kid, that's what you're feeling, I guess.
But it's insane that you don't really have the mind to logic your way out of it. I remember watching Jumanji at some sort of church youth group night at our house. And they were going to watch a movie after Jumanji that maybe was of a higher rating that I couldn't watch, so I was put to bed. I would have been about. It was not suitable for me. I would have been about maybe 7 or 8. And I remember lying in my bed and being convinced that a stampede of hippopotamuses and rhinos and elephants were going to come through the wall. But like, I was convinced of that and so scared and been like, man, I think this is going to happen. Like, it's honestly going to happen. But thinking back now, like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
There's nothing more impossible than that happening. Aside from there not being those creatures in the northern suburbs of Perth, but like they would have to get through so many houses. It's not a thing. But it's amazing how much you can convince yourself that is real. Honestly, I would still feel uncomfortable going for a swim in a pool at nighttime by myself. There'd be a bit of me that's like,
there's something in here.
You don't know who owns this pool.
It's weird how an irrational fear can just like come up, I suppose. Obviously, I'm not fearful of being crushed by all buildings or even this building previously. It has literally just come up in the last week or so, and I'm like, this thing could fall apart at any point.
They were just ones I thought of. I remember having those when I was younger because I feel like irrational fears happen more when you're younger. I don't know. I mean, I always think I'm going to be in a plane crash, but that's not necessarily an irrational fear. I think that's like more a symptom of anxiety.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not stopping me flying or really bothering me that much. It's just in the back of my head, like, this might be the one.
Do you think by believing that you're drawing that closer into your world?
Yeah, probably.
Well, you can fly on another plane to me.
We got to fly together, buddy. Always fly together. But other irrational fears, I don't really know if I've got any that like I tackle day to day.
What do you reckon your flying one is?
It's not even a big fear because it doesn't bother me to go on planes. But
does your brain go there when the engines quieten down once we've reached cruising altitude?
Oh yeah, slightly.
Oh, we're going to fall out of the sky.
But yeah, there's definitely moments like that, but it's never like, I wouldn't say I've got a fear of flying, but I think I've got an imaginative mind. And I think I've got a pretty narrative-based mind.
Yeah, so you, like, not only do you see the plane crash, you also see it from several different angles, and you see it like the plane rips in half in front of you and you're holding on, struggling for air, and you're like, not this time, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. I see it like a film kind of play out in my head.
Yeah.
I've got quite a vivid imagination. So I think that's probably what it is. But I don't know, it's very fleeting at the same time. You know, you put on headphones, start watching a movie, listening to a podcast, reading a book, and it's gone.
The thing with the creative mind is that, as well as coming up with wonderful creative good things, you can come up with wonderful creative bad things.
Oh yeah,
and that can be quite detrimental. You know, someone else is like, "Oh, I think I'm running a bit late, so I'll be late for the meeting," and you're like, you can be like, "If I run late for the meeting, I'm definitely going to get fired, and they'll take away my company car, and then I won't be able to get here, and then I won't be able to go on holiday," and like it just gets like way out of hand. That was kind of a shoddy example, but you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, that's just basic anxiety, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's ruminating and worrying about something you usually can't control, rather than living completely in the moment, which is something that we try to work on as much as possible. But yeah, that's all it is. It's just like thinking about something that's happening in the future, or thinking about something that happened in the past, rather than being completely present. Because if you were being completely present, you wouldn't even be questioning the plane flying or not flying. You would just be sitting there doing whatever you're doing. And then when shit actually started to go wrong, then you would start to have those thoughts.
Yeah, now I'll start to worry rather than sitting there the whole time being like, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash, it's going to crash.
Yeah.
Have you been meditating recently?
I have. I've been doing Sam Harris's app, Waking Up.
Oh, yeah. How's that?
I really like it. I think he's got such a soothing voice.
He does.
And he is very just logical and explains things quite simply and straightforward. He's got a bit of no nonsense to him.
No nonsense?
No nonsense.
No
nonsense.
Yeah.
No nonsense.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't talk sometimes.
That's all right, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's quite good. I try to do it as soon as I wake up. And then sometimes twice to go to bed.
Oh, nice. Can you do a Sam Harris impression?
You're sitting there. Wait. What should I say? I need a script. Is there a script? Yes. Can you Greg, can you pass me the script for that? Thank you. Now, you're sitting there with your open mind. For this meditation, I want you to start with your eyes open. You want to get your full range of vision. I want you to realize that your mind is not exactly in your head, and consciousness is experience.
I think you've got the pauses and the like stagnant way of talking down right, but he has a softness to his voice. It's almost higher.
I think you'll find it's actually deeper and somewhat nasally. It's like his nose is closed slightly.
Either way, that's riveting podcast information. I was wondering because he does have a bit of an iconic voice, and sometimes I've been guilty of thinking he's a bit smug sounding, but I think as you get to know him a bit more by listening to podcasts with him in it or something, you realize it's just the way he speaks, and he's incredibly intelligent, incredibly kind, and like he can back it. That's just what he sounds like. It's my belief that makes him sound like smug.
Yeah.
It's me putting my feelings on it. It's like looking at a person driving a nice car and being like, ugh, that arsehole.
Yeah, exactly. It's judging. It's judgment.
It is judgment.
Which we're all trying to do less of. Have you ever just met someone with an annoying voice?
Fuck yeah.
That's just like, man, I don't like you from the get-go. And you can't really control it. It's just, it's literally like something instinctual built into you, as if for millions of years, a person with a voice that resonated at that tone and talking loudly just would have alerted another tribe to your whereabouts, so you just would have killed that person?
They reckon that like loud talking and obnoxious behavior would not have been tolerated on like hunting trips and stuff. So like, I seem to remember having heard that kind of evolutionary fact that buffoons that went on hunting trips and then made noises so they didn't catch the animals often would have accidents on those hunting trips. So they wouldn't...
They were just killed.
Yeah, so they wouldn't reproduce. So maybe less buffoons. I would have fucking ruined so many hunting trips if I'd be always joking.
But I don't know if you would have, because there would have been time to joke back when you weren't hunting.
I like to inject a lot of humour into my life, and I feel like the people of my tribe would also enjoy that. But I reckon I'd get a spear to the Achilles.
But there would have been times, like when they show hunter-gatherer tribes now, like the Maasai in Africa, you can see them, they compartmentalize their lives. So you can see them like having true joy and fun and singing when they're in the tribe, but when they go out and do and hunt, they're serious. They're
professionals.
They're focused on their task. They are professional,
and they're very present. They'd be very present as well.
Very, very present. Whereas in the Western world, we're kind of all like
wishy-washy and distracted.
Yeah, exactly. And a bit just kind of like vibing the whole time. Yeah, we concentrate here for a bit, but like I'm basically the same. Yeah. Wishy-washy is a good word.
If I could give you the ability to focus 50% more, would you take that ability?
100. Because
I've come across some drugs that...
I would definitely take that. I think I've definitely got a focus issue. I have to work really hard to focus. And there's only some things I can focus on.
And what do you think there's something you could practice to make you more focused?
Absolutely. Meditation, grounding, choosing one thing to do at a time. Writing lists helps. Like, my issue is that I'm an okay multitasker that thinks that he's like a great multitasker.
I've kind of given up on multitasking, to be honest. I batch stuff now. I'm way better batcher. As in, like, I get to the studio, I know I've got a few emails to write. I won't write one email and do some music, then write another one. I'll just do all the emails, pay the bills, and then put my computer and my phone down and set a timer and work 45-minute blocks.
It's way better to do that than kind of let things bleed over. Like, I mean, even with this podcast, the days that I instantly process it, edit it, get it done, and then I don't have to think about it are so much better than the days where I'm maybe either work on music directly after we record it or I have to work, so it's a bit staggered, and I edit it over 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've got an hour. I'm just going to quickly fucking... Man, you know I edited one of these podcasts on the bus?
Great.
Like, I'm squeezing it in. Sometimes you have to squeeze things in, of course, but like, it's so much better to just do the one thing.
Get it done.
I think I think we've kind of inherited this multitask facade from our mum.
Yeah, and it's a habit I'm definitely trying to break.
But it is definitely a habit that can be broken.
Yeah, it's something that can be worked on, and it's I think I'm realizing more and more that distraction is the enemy of good flow. Like, and like when you have a good energy and you're being creative, if you distract yourself, you completely throw yourself off. And that distraction can come from, something as obvious as your phone, but it can also happen in your mind, or, if you haven't tended to some of the things you've got to, you're probably not going to have a creative idea if you've got 10 things on your to-do list. Clear those things off your list, and then you've got more bandwidth to create. And, and I think it's really important to be able to channel your energy properly when you do come to create, or when you go to do anything, like when you're going to work and stuff. There's always times when you are going to have to multitask and achieve different things. But Yeah, if you're doing something pretty focused, to just allocate 10 minutes to do it. Otherwise, a 10-minute thing can become a 30-minute thing, and that just infuriates me, like myself. Like when I do it, like there's certain things I'm just improving at, getting being like, okay, that's a do now job, not a do in 15 minutes or a do later tonight, or that is a do later tonight, and I'm not going to think about it again.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Making a time to do the thing if you can't do the thing right now. You set an alarm and go, I'm going to reply to that email at this time, or I'm going to hang out my washing at that time, or I'm going to go to the post office at that time, and sticking to those things and knowing that you made a deal with past self that you would stop whatever you're doing and going to do that thing. So you have to go forward with that deal, because there's nothing that frees up space than, like you said, just getting a list done, looking at a list of to-dos and then knocking them all out and being like, sick, it's 2 p.m. and I've got the rest of the day to work on music or go get drunk or do whatever thing you're going to do. And you can do it with so much more freedom and presence because you're not thinking about the stuff that you didn't accomplish.
Yeah, you can be there 100%. I suppose this kind of segues into a question we got from a listener on Instagram that asked us how we made time to learn music production when we were just starting out. And I suppose that kind of, if I can reword the question as well, like how do you make time when it's not your full-time thing or it's just something you do at nights and stuff like that? How do you make time, Jonathan? Or how did you make time when you were just starting out?
In the beginning, there was such a drive to go make music that I didn't want to do anything else at that time. You're just like, what I want to do is to go make music. So that's what I'm going to do. It felt like someone going to a pub with their friends or like going to see a movie, or like it kind of felt like a cheeky, like it felt like a reward.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
It wasn't hard work.
No. And I mean, not really at the beginning, because it's just like something fun. It's like when you have a really good book you want to read, reading isn't a chore.
Yeah.
It's something you look forward to. It should be something you look forward to. If you don't look forward to making music, if you don't look forward to making anything, I would probably say that you don't actually want to do that thing.
Yeah, no amount of want is going to make you want to produce.
No, and especially something that's as like creative as that.
And time consuming as well.
Yeah. Obviously that's balanced with having to say no to some things. Yeah, having to say no to some things, which I haven't always been great at doing, but I think I'm much better at doing it now. Or just making kind of boundaries for yourself, which is more what I do now, with commitments. So you're just like, sorry, I can't do that because I'm working. I think a big thing, a big change was to start to referring to it as also work.
Yep.
So rather than someone going, when are you working this week? And you say, I'm only working 3 days. You say, I'm working 5 days. I can do something here and here. Because for so long, some of my friends would be like, well, you're not working. You're just working on music. And if I'd say, I'm going to the studio, they'd say, oh, yeah, it's just like the studio. It's a bedroom in your fucking parents' house, bro.
Some of your mates are cock smokers, though.
They would, they would kind of belittle it. I think they did that because they're probably jealous in some way that I can go do something creative and was partially successful at it at the time. But you've got to treat it with a certain reverence.
Yeah.
And sacredness and seriousness, that even if it's just you and your laptop and a pair of headphones, start referring to that space at that time as your studio.
Absolutely. And also start blocking out, even if it's just, you don't have to do it every day. It's good if you do because it's nice to do. But if you can just be like, this is when I'm doing it. Like, I do 2 hours on Tuesday. I read some articles on Wednesday. On Thursday, I can do it for 3 hours. And then, Friday night, you choose not to go out once a month, or you choose. It's about prioritizing it. Like, choose to do your passion rather than just go and do what everyone else is doing.
Some of my favorite studio sessions, and I feel like maybe our most productive ones, have been when we've gone there on a Saturday afternoon instead of going to go out, and we've just spent Saturday afternoon to Saturday night in there until like 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. And we've just been really productive. We've got dinner together. It's just been great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes it's really nice to be in there on a Saturday, go there on a Saturday, and then at 2, one of your friends calls you and go, we're going to go have beers in the city. And you go, yeah, cool. I'm going to go do that. It feels good, and the key to it feeling good is because you took the Saturday before and you did the work then.
I would say also the key is that you go into the studio early enough that you feel you've done good work, that you can be like,
yeah,
I have done enough. For me, one of the biggest things in my life is it's okay, I've done enough. I'll be back tomorrow. Because for the longest time, I would push myself beyond reasonable levels to do more. And I'd certainly reach the point of diminishing returns and then just breeze past it and then get frustrated that I, wasn't doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you got to be easy on yourself and kind of make some reasonable goals.
And expectations.
Yeah, expectations rather. It's probably a better word for it. I always tell people have fun.
Yeah.
I can get wrapped up in like thinking that music is too serious. And there are times when it has to be serious, but like ultimately some of the best work comes from just like experimenting and like playing around and playing and learning. That's how we all learn originally when we're kids. You'd learn by play.
Yeah. You
don't learn by sitting down and being like, okay, I'm working on music and I'm making a neuro banger today, so I've got to be like serious. And like, it's not, it should be this kind of light thing. And that's something, I mean, I still struggle. I think all artists struggle with that. The balance between there being lightness to your work and it being kind of your own being bogged down by expectations or where you see the art going. There's nothing more unproductive than going into the studio, like I've learnt so many times, and saving a song as fucking Andy C will intro with this song and then starting to write a song like that. That's
just so hard. It's so loaded.
Like you can't, I don't think you can go into things with being loaded or ridiculous expectations, because like we've talked about before, your taste and your skill level are so vastly different when you start producing.
When you start anything.
When you start anything, exactly. You think you want to be like Sub Focus, and then you're making tunes that sound like dog shit. And unfortunately, that's just part of the path. And you can do as much as you can and as much research and as much education through tutorials or people's Patreons or reading up, and you can try to level up as quickly as possible. That's all you can do. But it's all time. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that's time.
And if you want to shortcut that time, be more focused during that time. You can do a year's worth of work in 6 months if you do double the work. So if you want to do 4 hours a night for a year, that's great. Or you could do 8 hours a night for 6 months. Or you could do, 12 hours a day for another.
Or you could do just 24 hours a day for a month and just only do that.
Never sleep. That'll be great. Remember that guy came to that tutorial and said, I heard that some people get like really creative when they don't sleep much. So like he would always be tired and producing. He was like, yeah, is that a good technique? And I was like, that sounds like a fucking nightmare, friend.
I think I can be quite creative when I'm hungover. But the amount of shit that has to align for me to be feeling like that and to write something good is just, it's not worth drinking every day.
Definitely not. Do you know why you feel more creative when you're hungover? Because you think less.
Yeah, it's better to just meditate every morning, or it's better to go for a run, or better to get something that gets your mind, your conscious mind a bit.
Yeah.
Or fucking writing. Just write. Try to write for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Get some of those. Get that oil out of your brain, and allow the fresh water to seep up.
I agree.
Well, Jeff, what a great conversation to have with you again on a Monday. I know we posted that little teaser of last week's, and I shared it on my Instagram and said I'd look forward to it every week, and I truly do. I think I think you're a smart guy. I value your opinion on things, and it's nice to talk to you unfiltered and unadulterated, without kind of thinking about all the other shit that we do together.
That does go through some filters and before it reaches anyone.
Yeah.
It's nice to do this, unfiltered, like you said. Just quickly before we go, what's the how are you feeling over in London? Is Perth? We had a very momentary lockdown compared to you. So how's the climate over there? What are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. It's pretty normal. Day to day is basically the same thing. Work, music, maybe a 1 or 2 walks and a coffee with people at a social distance. It's amazing how quickly the human body acclimatizes to this kind of thing. So it's I'm just used to it, man. I basically just do the same thing every week.
Yeah, that's pretty prison style.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's definitely not as bad as prison. I was talking to a friend the other day and saying it's nice to inject some moments of wonder into your life, and there's a lot less randomness that happens. So, it's nice to, when something pops up, it's nice to kind of take that ball and run with it. And that can be as simple as a stranger offering you a beer, or, a conversation with someone on a train, or making a joke. I made a joke at the hospital the other day, Jeff. It was pretty funny.
Tell me what it was.
I went to the hospital to get an ultrasound, and on the way out, I got a coffee. And because obviously the hospital I went to is they're all very social distanced and cordoned off, and there's kind of paths you have to take. So there was a path that people lined up to order coffee that led into kind of a waiting pen, but then you couldn't get out of the waiting pen to go anywhere else. You still had to walk back past the line of people waiting to get coffee. And there was a guy kind of waiting there for his mac and cheese and his cup of coffee, and he was kind of...
Mac and cheese?
Yeah, I don't know why he was getting a mac and cheese from Costa, but he makes his own decisions. Why
is he in hospital?
Was kind of looking around, and I said something along the lines of "You're stuck in there now, buddy." And he looked at me, and I was like, "You're not. It looks like you're not. It looks like you're not leaving here." And he started to laugh and said, "I wonder if they'll let me eat my mac and cheese here." And I said, "I don't think you can eat food in the holding pen." And he said, "Well, what about those chairs over there?" And there was a chair in between 2 chairs that were masking taped over. And I said, "Yeah, but you're going to have to, I think you have to jump over those chairs to get there." And we just had just a little back and forth, and it was nice, and he got his mac and cheese, and he left, and he said, "Have a great day." But that little moment of human interaction was enough to put a smile on telling the story now, it makes me smile.
Yeah.
It was just a little, it's just a nice fucking thing. And those little interactions have much more meaning now when you're not really interacting with that many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like a bit more wonder injected into my life, but I think we're doing pretty well with the amount.
Where would you inject the wonder?
Probably right into the tip of my penis.
Your housemates come home like, what are you doing? Just injecting wonder. Tightening a belt around the base. Well, if you got this far, you've earned a sexual innuendo joke. But yeah, that's great, buddy. I think you're doing well, and I must say,
made some good noises this podcast.
Oh, we should edit them all together. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, I think it's really nice to have you back, because there was a decent chunk of time where you were not as much of a participating member of Echo on Sidetrack as you would have liked to be, and there was a fair bit of strain put on the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think you've turned a bit of a corner with some of the things you're working on and dealing with, and I think it's I can see it, and I can hear it in the way you talk, and I can see it in some of your output, and also in the way that you are. But yeah, hopefully the UK can turn a corner and things can change soon.
I think it will. I think we're on a path. We're on a path to change. I just really hope that Australia gets there too.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think we're doing pretty well. I'll be borders are pretty much open unless you get some COVID cases, and I think that's kind of the way it has to be. That's kind of got to be the plan. We can't shut a border to everyone every single time, but we really just have to work on a plan that's going to work, which is going to allow Australia to reopen and us to go play some fucking shows in New Zealand. It's a selfish want. I'm sorry, dear listener, but I would really like to go and play some shows in New Zealand and spread the
selfish.
The good name of drum and bass over there.
I know how you feel, because I also want that.
Let's will it into the universe rather than plane crashes.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
All right, my friend, my brother.
My good friend Robin.
My good friend Robin. Thank you very much for another great conversation. And sorry it was a little bit shorter this week. I do have to be up early because we are going to speak on the radio, but you'll hear more about that during the week. All right, much love, my brother. I'll
see you, buddy.
Soon. Love you.
Love you too. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Echo on Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Echo Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.